It's always been interesting to me to see Renaissance people that are able to do multiple things. Now, that's a challenge because not everybody's built for that. You're listening to The Creative Catalyst. In this episode, I want to touch on something that took me quite a while to really understand it and grasp it. I'm only talking about my personal experience with it. The topic of this episode today is staying in your lane. Now, of course, generally a lot of people take offense to this, but it's something that I feel that definitely needs to be talked about. And with that phrase, stay in your lane, because I use it a lot. I use it jokingly, but I also use it seriously. Overall, I'm very serious with that comment, and I stand by it. Reason being because that's what I do. I may not stay in my lane personally sometimes, but I do professionally. And what that means is this. Let me break it down to you. You're a brand. You're the investor. You are the one that put the time, put the sweat, the tears. You're the one that sacrificed a whole lot to get to where you are right this minute. Nobody can take that away from you. You've experienced all kinds of mess dealing with clients, colleagues, affiliates, other associates, other businesses. You've established this level of wisdom within yourself to the point to where you almost feel like you're better than the next person next to you. But see, here's where things get a little rocky. You decide to drive on your highway in your car that you bought. But then you see someone else who's either doing what you do, or you see somebody else who's doing a little bit better than you. And they may be driving a similar car as you, but might be going at a different pace as you, heading to the same destination as you. So you decide to get intimidated and you want to veer off into their lane and try to monopolize what they're doing. What I mean is that now you put yourself in a position of not a Renaissance person. You put yourself in a convoluted, nosy, selfish, individual placement to where now you have to learn to either stop doing that because eventually it's going to hurt you. And you're not going to hurt that other person. They're going to look at you like you're crazy. They're going to look at you like, okay, this person is coming into my lane telling me what to do. They're telling me about my job, how to do my job. They don't know my job, but this person is speaking as if they do know my job. So now, one of the biggest lessons that I've been told is staying in your lane. Focusing is the key word in this episode. Focus. We all don't have it, but we all strive to someday achieve it in some facet, in some way. So what it's really about is basically knowing oneself. How well do you know yourself? How well are you prepared to not only stand by what you know of yourself, but to be able to protect it? It's not enough to just know yourself, because you can know yourself and be blind to everything around you. You need to be aware of the things that are around you so you know where you need to stay in place. And that's what's important. You need to know where you stand. And basing it off of where you stand is how you can predict and how you can better be the architect of where you're going to be tomorrow. And that's where not only staying in your lane is really, really important, but it's also something that's going to give you that longevity. We look at some of the greatest in our society who we deem as the greatest and who've also put themselves in a position to proclaim greatness. We look at greatest like Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Prince, just to name a few. We look at some of those people. The thing that I admire the most about those people is the fact that not only did they stay in their lane, they owned their lane. A lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people looked at it as, oh, they're selfish, they're arrogant, they think they're better than everybody. They're better than themselves. They're in competition with themselves. As I try to tell everybody, you are in competition with yourself. There's no reason for you to compete with the next person. That person does not know your story. Why are you competing with somebody who's not built like you? Why are you competing with somebody who doesn't come from the same background as you? They don't have the same ingredients as you. So stop expecting their sauce to taste like your sauce. We got this weird mentality out here that we think that because somebody's selling the same thing as me, they must be trying to copy me. They must be trying to do better than me. And even if they are striving to do better than you, it's your responsibility to make sure that that doesn't happen. Because it's your own fault. If someone else who's in your lane and you both are driving, heading to the same destination, and they surpass you, it is your fault that they beat you. It is your fault that you were not in their position. It's nobody else's fault. Only you make excuses. Only you can get out of that space of feeling like I have to compete with the next person. If you believe that you're better than that person or that you have something better than that person, you need to believe that. And that's only up to your business. You don't need to tell nobody that, because if you really are that good, it should show. Period. It should show. There's nothing else about it. But if you gotta tell somebody, if you gotta brag about it, then you're really not. You really don't have that much to offer. So, speaking from my own personal and professional background, I spent a lot of time by myself. I wasn't as social as most people. A lot of people are not going to believe that, those that know me personally. But I spent a lot of time by myself because I felt like I didn't subscribe to what a lot of people were doing. So what I did was I spent a lot of time honing my craft, honing my hobbies, focusing on the things that made me happy. I only cared about my happiness, because at the end of the day, if I wasn't happy, then how can I make anybody else happy? My happiness was more important. Very young, I knew that, you know what? I think I like being happy more than making somebody else happy, because I know that if I'm happy, then I'm going to automatically want someone else to feel that same kind of happiness. You know that saying that they say misery loves company? Well, happiness is just as contagious. If you're happy, you're automatically going to want that person to feel good as well. You're going to want them to feel just as good as you. So, knowing that coming up, spending a lot of time by myself, I wasn't really aware as how good I was getting with my craft. It was always a validation from other people. But it was a weird validation because I wasn't really getting the kind of validation that I thought I deserved. I was always getting the subpar, oh, you're talented, oh, you're really good at this. Or I would get the kind of comments like, well, oh, you should go to school for that. Now, I'm not knocking formal education. But at the same time, if someone is already good at something, for you to tell them to go to school for that, it's almost an insult. And I'm only saying this because it's almost an insult to those that it applies to. Again, if the shoe fits, you can't tell an already talented person that they should go to school if they're already talented. And I don't think a lot of people mean wrong by that. I think they're basically just using the wrong context. So this is probably only going to offend entrepreneurs or people who've come up in a format of building and honing their own craft. This is not going to apply to anybody else that comment is going to offend. But going back to my main point at hand was that I spent a lot of time really doing the things that I wanted to do. And, I was a nerd. I'm still a nerd. But the thing was, I've established a lot of value knowing what I like, knowing what I don't like, that is spilled over into my future today. So now, if I decide that I want to do something, I'll do it. If I decide I don't like something, I'm not going to do it. I don't allow somebody else's influence to mess up my sauce. Now, I can say that today, but it wasn't like that yesterday. It wasn't like that last month. It wasn't like that a year ago, 3 years, 10 years ago. It was not like that. But today I can say that because today I'm taking the lessons of the things that I've done wrong in the past. I'm taking the lessons of the things that I've done wrong and I'm applying it to compete with myself to be a better person tomorrow. Because the man tomorrow that I'm striving to be, I can look back at the old me and look back at the old person like there's no mistake from the mistakes that you've made. There's a reason that you've made it this far because not a lot of people are fortunate enough to live this long, to be doing it this long. This can apply to anybody. I don't care if you've been doing it for a year. Not a lot of people can do it for you. If you've been doing it 10 years, not a lot of people can do it for 10 years. You got to really appreciate the time that you are doing whatever it is that you're doing. Whatever it is that makes you happy, do it. Own it. Hone it. Do whatever it's going to be and do whatever it is it's going to take to get you to that greatness. And that greatness is your definition, not anybody else's definition. That greatness is what you make it out to be. Whatever level, whatever pedestal you want to put it up there, that's your pedestal. And you need to own that. In conclusion of this episode, I really want to drive a focus to my brand, specifically what I do with brand design, with innovation, with the things that I do. And the reason why I'm driving that focus is when you look at my website, when you look at my portfolio, when you look at all of my past works, don't take it for granted that I put that together quickly. Don't take it for granted that that's something that I just have a template and I decided to copy and paste something. Everything that I do was built from scratch, built from a blank page, was drawn from scratch because I decided to hone my craft, work on my craft, perfect my craft, and take it to a next level. And you know why? It's because I'm in competition with myself. And I can hold my head up high knowing that only I can determine if I make it or if I fail.